Good morning, everyone. I hope you are having a beautiful start to your day. Welcome to today's video. On Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays on this channel, I do create reading videos that then move on to an extended version in our beautiful Soul Tribe community on Patreon. So this video, this reading, is still going to be a reading and energy updates, but it's also going to be a little bit different. It's going to be a little free form, especially at the beginning. And the reason for this is because as I was getting ready to do this reading, sometimes when I'm preparing for these readings, there is nothing coming through energetically before I hit record. But today, as I was meditating prior to recording, I got this massive download of information that I feel is really relevant to so many of you who are tapped into this beautiful collective here. So I do want to infuse some of that information into the reading, but I will also be pulling cards as we are speaking together here. So, as I always say, we are co-creators here on this channel. So if you would like to co-create here with me to tune your energy into this space, which a card just flew out as I started shuffling, which by subscribing, this does allow me to pick up more easily on your energy. By the way, that card flew out right around 222 on the recording timer. I'm not sure how that will line up in the finished audio track, but that was very synchronistic. Okay, so much coming through already energetically. But anyway, by subscribing, this does allow me to pick up more easily on your energy, allowing me to typically channel more specific for you. So I am just so grateful for all of you who are parts of this truly uplifting, beautiful, high vibrational community, if I can speak. See, the energy is so strong. It's messing with my communication a little bit. Community here on YouTube. Thank you for being part of that. And let's go ahead and get into the reading. So a card flew out that I'm going to get. Door to value in the upright position. And I feel this sitting on the heart chakra. This is someone seeing someone else in love in a new light. Specifically here, I am strongly picking up on a masculine energy, seeing you, divine feminine, in a new light because of how their hearts has been opening. I feel like secretly, even if you don't know this consciously, this masculine has been incredibly emotional lately. However, if he hasn't consciously told you this, I'm getting that unconsciously, divine feminine, you have been picking up on this masculine's emotions. The blockage that's being worked through most strongly by this masculine continues to be in the sacral chakra, because we have the thinking man sitting on the sacral chakra, which tells me these two energies are coming head to head. The thinking man representing ego, and the sacral chakra representing intimacy, vulnerability, transparency. I'm hearing a masculine say, I can't hide from you, divine feminine. And that terrifies me. But at this deeper core spiritual level, I can no longer hide from myself. I can no longer hide from myself, and therefore I am losing my ability to hide myself from the world. That is the transformation spiritually that you have sparked within this masculine, divine feminine. I want to know how this masculine is now seeing your value, victory in the upright position, because so much rapid growth is taking place here spiritually. I feel a major positive shift happening within this masculine, but there's something about it being secretive, being somewhat behind the scenes. What is the positive shift taking place very quickly within this masculine? Solar plexus chakra in the reverse position. So this shift was pushed forward, catalyzed by this masculine taking some kind of a hit in his confidence or losing some piece of his earthly identity in this life, allowing him to more clearly see through the 3D matrix and awaken more fully, not just to this connection, although that's been a major dominant subject on his mind at this time, which is why it's coming up so strongly. But really just in general, I sense a major shift in this masculine's values in life in general. Yeah, solar plexus chakra reversed and the anxiety card upright. I feel this masculine has lost something that he tied a lot of sense of identity to. Now, for some of you, this may be a job. This could be a connection. This, for many of you, will specifically be his twin flame connection to his physical divine feminine counterparts, going through some kind of shift or change. The divine feminine here stepping into her power in some way, and a card just flew out. Yeah, all tied up in the midway position. A situation with a twin flame counterparts, physical counterparts here for this masculine, shifting very quickly, going from being very stagnant, being very stuck, to changing very fast. I'm hearing him say uncontrollable. It's like he feels like he can no longer control this person or situation. But even more deeply than that, this masculine actually feels through this loss of control, which was really only ever an ego illusion. This was perceived control because, of course, he never really did control this person, this situation, this connection, potentially for some of you, this twin flame connection. However, now through this loss of control, which is really just the realization he never had control, he is now realizing with Door to Spirit reversed how much he had been ignoring his intuition about you, Divine Feminine, and about this connection. With Angel of Love reversed, how much he blocked an unconditionally loving connection or situation, sabotaging the very thing that he desired most. I'm hearing him say, all I have ever wanted in my life was to fully be loved. I feel like this masculine in his childhood may have not received this unconditional love and began to learn conditional love for himself, that then reflected in how he treated the divine feminine counterparts, the physical counterparts within this connection. But there are a lot of realizations happening within this masculine. So in the extended reading, while we are on that subject, I will be channeling more realizations that this divine masculine is having specifically about the divine feminine counterparts or this connection. If you heard my voice get distant there, it's because I had to move away from the microphone to write that down. So I don't forget to channel that in our extended reading. For now, I do want to move this reading forward, but if you would like more channeled information about those collective divine masculines, realizations, that kind of wake-up call moments about the feminine and the connection, the link to the extended Patreon reading is always located under the videos in the pinned comments and description box. But now I really want to get into the divine feminine energy, because what prompted me to start recording early for this reading, usually I would record a little bit later after I've had more time to meditate, to clear my energy. But when these downloads came through for you, Divine Feminine, that I was mentioning at the beginning of the video that we're now going to infuse into your portion of the reading, when these downloads came through, it felt like I have to stop and go record immediately, because divine feminines, although some of these downloads may connect with the divine masculine as well, I do know we have many beautiful awakened divine masculines watching these readings as well. So you may find that being more awakened, these pieces of information connect with you as well, masculines. But divine feminine, I'm feeling in our collective, these messages will connect most dominantly with divine feminines listening. And this is knowledge and information that you've been receiving consciously and subconsciously from your guides and from the universe about timelines, specifically about what is happening to your connections, both platonically and romantically, as well as, in addition to that, even potentially those who are on kind of the outskirts of your network, acquaintanceships, co-working situations. Something is changing within the landscape of many of your connections. I feel for some of you, this will dominantly be felt in love, but I feel that will apply more so to those of you who are out in the dating world. So attempting to casually date after experiencing a very intense soul-based connection, such as a high-level soulmates or a twin flame whom you have recently disconnected from. So take it as it connects. Again, for those of you still connected in with a soul-based connection at this time in the 3D, you may find this applies more to your platonic connections and relationships. But the key word here coming through is untethered. Divine feminine, you have been divinely untethered through your spiritual awakening from a specific timeline. I feel for many of you, I'm actually speaking to an untethering, so to speak, energetically, that's happened for many of you years ago, because most of you listening to this reading have been on a, by Earth time, long process of spiritual awakening in this lifetime. So for many of you, this is nothing new, but there is a new kind of caveat or shift happening recently when it comes to this timeline shifting. But I don't want to get ahead of myself. I really just want to lay the background, the context here first. So this untethering began at your spiritual awakening. And if you connect with my readings, for many of you, I would say at least 60 to 70% of you, there was a twin flame physical interaction, physical connection that sparked or sped up this awakening process and actually sped up this untethering. So I feel the way my guides were showing it to me is prior to your awakening, you were, if you imagine your body, your light body, kind of standing on this path, and there are thousands of paths above you, so to speak, and thousands of paths below you, representing different timelines. A timeline is just your trajectory through this life. So if you are someone who ever goes and gets a psychic reading or has someone gifted read your future, what they're really reading is the potential futures given that you remain on this particular timeline. Wow, for some of you, that also is something you've been receiving as a download because, and I feel like this is just for a few people, so bear with me if this isn't your message, but I feel I'm speaking to a divine feminine here who may have gotten psychic readings over the course of the last few months or years from different gifted psychics, but it's been confusing because even though these psychics are gifted at what they do, the readings have all been different. And they seem to change all the time, especially the predictions, especially when it comes to your love connections for whoever I'm speaking to here. And whoever this is for, you need to know that the reason these predictions keep changing, the reason it's so confusing when you go to have your energy read by someone else is because of this dynamic I'm about to share more about. Because your energy is shifting, specifically your vibration is raising so quickly that you are very rapidly moving through many different timelines. So what happens is that specific reader catches you on a certain timeline, reads the potential future of that timeline, but then you go off, raise your vibration even further, set yourself on a higher path, go back for a different reading, and the reading is entirely different. It's not that one was accurate and one wasn't accurate. It's that all of these readings are reading potential futures, but you are altering your futures very quickly by raising your vibration very fast. So again, I don't know who that was for. I feel that's just for a few people here, but do be aware of that if that's relevant for you in some way. Anyway, going back to this concept of timelines. So what happened is you became untethered months or years ago. For many of you, this involved a twin flame So what happens with our twin flame, and many of you know this already, so I'm just phrasing or reiterating what you already know, but I do feel your guides asking you to solidify this knowing within yourself, because it will help you to stabilize yourself, to ground yourself during a very energetically chaotic and somewhat confusing time for you. So when you meet your twin flame, because they share your core soul frequency, they will resonate with you in all timelines, at all places, all times. In fact, when I was meditating, I really felt my guides telling me, title this video something along the lines of, the one who follows you through every timeline has a message for you. Because when you share a soul-based connection with someone, which, by the way, this is true to an extent, to a very great extent for soulmates as well. So when I say soul-based connection, I am generally speaking to connections based on core soul resonance or shared core soul frequency. So to make the distinction, of course, it's your twin flame to whom you share the same identical core soul frequency. This is the only soul that mirrors your frequency. Whereas when it comes to soulmates, there is a similar soul frequency. So the frequency will be similar, but not necessarily identical. However, both forms of connection, soulmates and twin flames, will, because of this shared resonance at the soul level, they will follow you through these different timelines. This is why when you see a couple that stays together 40, 50 years, even if that couple, those two souls, choose in this lifetime, I'm seeing many people, this will connect as your grandparents. You will look at your grandparents' relationship and see that they were soulmates. I'm hearing unconscious soulmates in this way, meaning they themselves may have not gone through a spiritual awakening consciously in this lifetime. However, even if you don't fully awaken, you do tend to shift timelines slightly through your life. Now, the thing is, most people, if you never spiritually wake up, you will go through a few major timeline shifts in your life. Typically, these are moments of crisis. So moments where your 3D circumstances push you to a point where you're like, I need to make some kind of a change. You make that change, you shift onto a different timeline, and then you remain on that new timeline for a very long time. And then perhaps years down the road, make another shift again because you reach a new crisis point. The difference between those unconscious timeline shifts, which again tend to happen, I would say on average 2 to 3 times in a lifetime. And as humans, we tend to refer to those things as one way we'll refer to them, because many in the past have only experienced one, and we would label it a midlife crisis. So a moment when we are in our 40s, 50s, potentially 60s. By Earth years, of course, time and age are really just illusions. But Humans call it a midlife crisis when someone reaches a point in their life where they realize that they need or want to make some kind of a change. They are on a specific timeline. They become consciously aware that they're on some kind of a timeline that they no longer want to be on. They make a change to shift onto a different timeline that is typically very radical through the eyes of others. And then again, they stay on that new timeline for a while. The reason that in recent times, if you've noticed on the planet, especially if you are someone that is in your 20s or 30s at this time, you may have noticed that more people on the planet collectively are going through what they're calling a quarter life crisis. So this means that rather than having this moment of shifting timelines in their 40s, 50s, or 60s, this is actually happening younger. And for even newer generations, this is happening even more quickly than that. This crisis point is actually coming in like middle school, high school, very young adulthood. And what's happening is even those who are living relatively unconsciously are still having these crisis point moments because we are reaching a tipping point as collective consciousness where more and more of us are waking up, causing others to, even those who are unconscious, to essentially stir in their sleep, metaphorically speaking, to begin to wake up, even if they are living predominantly through the matrix, through this kind of 3D way of seeing the world. So circling back, again, there's just so much information to share on this, and a lot of it felt really essential for many who are listening. So what is happening with our twin flame is, and the difference between a twin flame and these soulmates, because again, with your soulmates, even when you live from the 3D, you will stay with a soulmate more likely than you will stay with what we call a karmic or a purely 3D based connection with no soul resonance. This is because, again, most people go through these 1 or 2, sometimes 3 crisis point timeline shift moments in their life that will cause them to disconnect from a person they are romantically connected with on that specific timeline. That is also why many people go through divorces through this so-called midlife crisis time of their life, because they are shifting timelines, and that previous connection may have been one that only would have worked out, so to speak. That's one way of saying it at a very basic level, would have only worked out on that other timeline, on that lower timeline. Now, the problem is when we are on this path of spiritual awakening, it is almost as though we are going through a midlife crisis or a quarter life crisis, regardless of our earth age. It doesn't matter, but we hit these crisis point moments almost all the time. And this is because unlike those who are living unconsciously, we are raising our vibration consciously, constantly. So we are constantly in a state of rising to our highest timeline. Now, this is a beautiful thing, a breathtaking experience, because it allows us to experience immense amounts of soul growth and development in a singular lifetime that most souls would not experience in hundreds of lifetimes. However, it's also very challenging because our human aspect becomes very attached at times to these different timelines, which sometimes can feel like attachments to specific people or relationships to whom we share a bond that can only work on that one particular timeline. So sometimes, and this will connect for those of you in the dating world, what happens is if we move from a soul-based connection that moves with us through time, especially a twin flame that shares that core soul resonance, if we try going from that to going back out into the dating pool, into casual dating, we find it really challenging to connect long-term with new romantic partners, because it leads to this frustrating process of we are raising our vibration so quickly, but these connections are not following us because it's like we are connecting with these individuals to whom we might share a really profound connection one day when we are on a certain timeline. Then we raise our frequency further, move through timelines essentially, and find ourselves feeling emotionally detached or disconnected, or feeling an energy shift between us and this person. Because what we're really feeling is the fact that we have now raised our energy, we have shifted onto a new timeline, and this person is not coming with us. This is actually the basis for all karmic connections. Essentially, what happens, why karmic connections become so toxic, is because they are 3D connections that we prioritize over our own soul's growth and development, which is what makes them karmic. They are 3D connections that we are bonded into with a person to whom we can only connect at a particular level, at a particular frequency or timeline trajectory. And once we begin to raise our frequency and shift onto a new timeline, we feel ourselves phasing out this 3D connection, this person, this relationship. And that process would happen very naturally, except that sometimes our 3D self, our human self, tries holding on to this person, situation, relationship because we are afraid of losing them. And on some level, we choose to value that person or connection remaining the way it is more than we value our own soul's growth, development, and transformation. And it takes so much surrender. This is very challenging, merging these human aspects of us that want to attach really strongly to these people, relationships, dynamics, merging that with this soul aspect of ourselves we become more conscious of through this awakening that wants to grow, that wants to expand, that wants to evolve. And this is why when we spiritually awaken, this often causes all hell to break loose in our current relationships, even our current friendships, because really what we're feeling is ourselves rising onto this new high vibrational timeline. Yeah, goddess of the moon, upright and blossoming abundance, upright, divine feminine. This is you shifting into new timelines all the time, which is at times why you feel so disjointed, so chaotic, why you feel frustrated when you try making new friendships or forging new romantic connections. For those of you that's relevant for, in 3D based connections or situations, because it's like your soul now demands those who will move with you through time and space, platonically or romantically, those who are truly sharing the frequency, the resonance with your soul, with the core of you, so that regardless of how much you shift or change, these will follow you into every new place and timeline. And specifically, as I said in the beginning, I'm picking up so strongly on a divine masculine or a very high level soulmate masculine who has been following you through these timelines. Now, for some of you, this so-called following through your spiritual awakening could be more unconscious. It could just be that you've sensed the person energetically that you can't seem to let go of, regardless of what timeline you shift on, because you are sensing the bond, the shared core resonance with this person. For others of you, and of course, Magician in the Mirror and Appreciation Upright. The Magician in the Mirror card is one of my 2 twin flame cards in the deck. So this absolutely could be a twin flame connection. For many of you that is coming into balance. I see you. It's like as you rise through these higher and higher versions of yourself, you are aligning more and more with this person. Now, of course, for some of you, this may not be unconscious connection to this masculine. This could be someone that you've connected with very consciously, that you've had a lot of 3D interactions with as well. But if that's the case with Victory Reversed, I sense that for those of you I'm speaking to there, if you've had 3D connections with this person in this lifetime, it has felt very hopeless at times. You felt very defeated with Victory in the reverse position. There could have been with financial constraints coming out here. There could have been disagreements around work, money, or finances with this person, or there just could have been a feeling of suffocation, of restriction emotionally or energetically, leading to cycles of heartbreak with this masculine in the past. But what you need to know with broken heart card reversed is there is a deep and profound heart healing, heart shift taking place within this connection. I'm hearing the heartbreak, the cycles of heartbreak are over because you, Divine Feminine, have chosen to step into your power. Now, this reading is already at 30 minutes. I can't believe how fast time has gone by. And I know I've but felt really guided to share a lot of information on timelines that feels very relevant to our collective at this time in this reading. But in the extended, I will be channeling more information on this dynamic, these cycles of heartbreak that are over because you stepped into your power, Divine Feminine. I will be channeling more details and information about this connection, as well as love messages from both this masculine and from the feminine to one another in this situation. And Divine Feminine, for you as well in the extended, I will be channeling messages from your guides or higher self because I'm feeling your guides are really strongly around you at this time, giving you a lot of information, downloads, trying to get through to you in different ways, potentially even dreams for some of you. So I will be channeling more on that on Patreon also. And again, the link to the extended is in the pinned comments and description box. But to close out this reading, I'm going to pull one final card from the Rumi Oracle. And of course, this is the Sacred Phoenix Heart. And I'm saying of course because this card came out in a recent reading as well. It speaks from something, I'm hearing something coming back from the dead, something rising from the ashes. So there could be a connection here. This masculine even could be someone to whom you thought the connection was dormant. You thought this was a dead connection, a dormant connection, or that there was no hope here. Someone felt very hopeless or defeated, but something here is rising from the ashes. So I am going to just read a little bit from the guidebook here also. Under the cover of blood, love veils many rose gardens. In total faith, love tenderly guides every lover to the garden of the hearts. Reason says the world is limited in 6 directions. Love says, there is a way, and I have traveled it many times. The guidebook also says, love guides us through travails that seem improbable, if not impossible. So you are guided to accept the closed doors, the death, the pain. Let it become tinder for your fire. I feel this speaks to all of those old timelines, situations, connections. You find yourself closing out. Sometimes we also call this the collapsing of timelines. Having the courage to surrender what you are releasing into in order to rise toward what you are becoming. I feel this speaking especially to a Divine Feminine at this time. So I really hope something from this reading and energy updates connected with you. If it did, feel free to leave me a comment under the YouTube video and let me know. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't yet and you would like me to be able to more easily pick up on and channel your energy, channel messages for you in future videos. The link to the extended reading where we will be going much more in depth with all of this and sharing more information about how both the masculine and feminine here are thinking and feeling at this time. All of that is in the pinned comments and description under the video. I hope you have a wonderful, beautiful rest of your day, and I will talk to you again in Friday's reading.